is going on, everybody? I do want to apologize for everybody who was in the live stream before. For some reason, did not actually forward to YouTube, so I only had it on X. But we're here now. Going to do another one of these, so feel free to drop any questions in the comments. Colin S., I will get to your question. Can we discuss some stocks that are looking like true market leaders? We'll talk about that towards the end. But for now, look, it's been a short week, but there's plenty to talk about. A lot of interesting stuff happening in the market, so let's get right on into it. All right, so starting out, looking at the market direction, we're in an uptrend. We are still in a power trend. Talking about the overall direction of the market, things are overall looking positive, so good sign. Distribution days, though, we started out the week with 2 distribution days on the S&P, 2 distribution days on the Nasdaq, and we ended up gaining a distribution day on Thursday, which was a stalling day, bringing us to 3 and 2. And if we're looking at our distribution day tracker, you can see that most of these days have occurred within recent weeks. So in terms of time, these aren't falling off anytime soon. We need 25 trading days in order for these to drop off, and that's not happening for a little bit. In terms of price action, though, if we get 5% above the close of that distribution day, we could lose these days. Right now, there are a couple that if we have a couple strong, maybe a week or two that is very strong, we could possibly wash them out, but nothing that is extremely close. Still, all in all, we're light on distribution, nothing too concerning, just something to take note of. Looking at the week, we were up 1.88% in the S&P, 2.01% on the Nasdaq, and 1.60 on the Dow. On the S&P, we're up 0.51% for the year. Only one of the indexes in the green. Nasdaq, we're down 1.02%, and the Dow, we're down 0.64%. Moving averages. So on the moving averages, on the S&P and the Nasdaq, we're green above all. On the Dow, we're just red on the 200-day. But just being green above the two most important to me, at least, the S&P and the Nasdaq, very, very positive sign. When we look at the index charts, we'll talk a little bit more, especially about the 21-day, and how important that is, and where we are in reference to that. But overall, green on all of the important ones. Russell, I just have it up there for viewing purposes, but we are below the 10 and below the 200. All right, so like we said, let's jump over and take a look at the indexes. So as we always do, I'm going to start off on the Nasdaq. We'll start off on the daily. More sideways action this week. It was a shorter week. We were closed on Monday for Memorial Day, so we only have these 4 days here that we're looking at in terms of what happened this week. But we just kind of continued that sideways action. We had talked about this last week, the 519 high being the real area that we want to get above. And looking at this week, we had a really, really strong start. We broke out, gapped up higher. We saw that kind of positive action going towards that day, but ultimately saw resistance. The rest on Wednesday, Thursday, we had more sideways action. Thursday specifically experiencing that stalling day. Looked like a really, really strong day. We kind of broke through that level we've been looking at, the 519 high. But ultimately, the sellers came in, pulled us back down. We stalled out, just being up 0.39%, high volume, giving us that stalling day. But still finding support at that 10-day, which was positive. And then on Friday, talking about an eventful day intraday. We broke below the 10-day simple moving average. We seemed like we were kind of falling. A lot of people I know got stopped out of some stocks that morning, that afternoon. But ultimately, the buyers ended up coming in, pushing us back up, getting us back above that 10-day simple moving average, and really minimizing that loss for the day down to 0.32%. Essentially maintaining that sideways action. So on the upside, look, it is definitely still concerning that we have been finding a lot of resistance there. And we've also been seeing that in a lot of stocks. A lot of stocks that I've been watching have very, very similar pattern. They have this double bottom type of action. They broke higher. They went on these great run-ups, and now they've stalled. And they are in this sideways tight action, which is very constructive. But the big thing is, just because of the constructiveness of this, that does not necessarily mean we're going to break higher. There is a chance we could break lower. And I like to look at this as like a condensed spring. This sideways action, that spring just keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and more compressed. and we could go in either direction. We could spring up and go higher and have a nice short-term rally, likely seeing some tightness or a little bit of resistance as we get to the all-time highs, or we could spring down lower and likely seeing, if we do break through the 200 and the 21, seeing some resistance at the 50, hopefully. So this is just something to really, really be conscious of. I drew this kind of Darvas box type of area here. I think if we can maintain above the, ideally the lows coming from Friday the 23rd, but even more if we can maintain above the 200 day and also the low of Monday the 12th, that I think is still constructive sideways action. Realistically, swing traders and position traders, however you want to classify yourself, CANSLIM type traders, intermediate style traders, we want to see that we hold above that 21 day. But those three levels, I think if we can maintain above those, ultimately we're going to still be in some constructive sideways action. We'll look at the weekly. And again, overall trend, we're upwards. Nothing too concerning here. You can see the box that we've been looking at over these past 3 weeks, but still trending upwards with a lot of this area of resistance above. And that's something really to kind of bring light to in terms of looking at the technical analysis that we're seeing. It wasn't surprising with all this choppiness that went on over here that as we got close to it, we've seen resistance and we're tightening up. A lot of us have kind of expected this, and it was a long period of sidewaysness. So whether or not that's the reason why we're seeing 3 weeks here at this point, who cares? Who really knows? But let's see which way we break from here. Looking at the S&P, look, not much more to say. The only difference really here is we didn't get as close to that 519 high as we had prior. As we had on the NASDAQ. So not really much difference. We're still seeing that sideways action. We're still above the 200, above the 21. 21 is now above the 200, which is always a positive thing. But really looking at the same levels in terms of up and the downside. And also still in a major uptrend. The volume on both of these on the weekly obviously is lighter because we had one less trading day for the week. So nothing concerning either here when looking at the volume. It's kind of irrelevant with the less trading day over there. So let's jump over to Deep View. And for those of you who don't know, I am a Deep View partner. One of the greatest trading tools I've ever used. I'd used the same tool for many years. I spent about 3 years trying to find something better because I wasn't really truly happy. And this tool does both screening and charting amazing. Really, really amazing. And if you're a CANSLIM style trader, this tool is designed perfectly for you, but it also does a lot of other trading strategies as well too. So if you're interested, I do have a referral link, and I can also hook you guys up with a, any kind of questions or things you have. They are also having me do one-on-one onboarding calls. So if you do sign up for monthly, you will get requested to sign up for a one-on-one onboarding call where I will help you out in terms of getting up to speed on the tool, setting everything up because it's extremely customizable, and making sure you get the most out of it. Big thing though, this summer there's a ton of updates rolling out. It's already a great tool, but some of the stuff that they're going to be integrating really is truly going to make this that all-in-one application that you can completely run your entire trading business through, from charting, from watching stocks. Hopefully eventually it's going to be trading, analytics, news, you name it. It's all going to be incorporated into this tool. So just wanted to throw that in there. If you're interested, let me know. In terms of the theme tracker though, looking at what's going on, we know year to date miners and a lot of the more defensive plays like consumer staples, utilities, industrials, they let out the year. Not really surprising here. And it's still showing that when we look at year to date. But looking at the 1 month, we had talked about this last week. We're starting to see those growth type stocks, this type of stocks that most of us tend to gravitate towards and make money on. Blockchain, solar, semiconductors, growth stocks, retail, technology, robotics, software. We're starting to see those populating and having the most strength in this recent month, which is a positive sign, all correlated with that uptrend that we experienced. This week, though, honestly, not too much to kind of add here. Miners let out the week, just 1 week. Not really seeing anything that's consistent and trending here on the 1 week time frame. If I was, then they'd bring light to that. But other than that, I don't think there's too much to really note as to what's going on with the industry tracker. Just seeing what has kind of happened already, but nothing that is looking too much forward that is of concern. So with that being said, well, bud, let's talk about exposure levels. So I had talked about this last week. I said 80 to 100% was okay. I still think that's okay. One of the things that I will say is um, when you bought those stocks makes a big difference. If you are saying 80 to 100% exposed because you have a bunch of stocks in your portfolio that you made cushion on, they've now pulled back, which has happened to many of these proposed leaders, then I think if you're holding on to those, they haven't hit stops, then completely good with sitting at 80 to 100%. But in this sideways action, what I think is important to understand is the risk that we have in the reality of how easily we can break down as well as break up. And getting into some of these stocks, especially at some early entry points, adds some added risk, and it's something to be taken into account. If you did miss that big uptrend and now you find yourself trying to chase after this rally and making a ton of buys in the last week or two or three, very likely you're finding a lot of chop going on, your stops getting hit, and possibly starting to experience that death by 1,000 cuts where you're just constantly buying these good looking stocks that look like they're ready to break out, but then your stop gets hit and you take the loss. This is the type of market we have to understand that this sideways action can have that occur. We could just as easily break downward, which can cause you most likely to get stopped at a lot of things. And there's no guarantee that we're going to spring higher and that this rally is going to work and that these pullbacks are just that, pullbacks. So something to really take into account. I know some people that talked about they were trying to push heavily on margin this week. Look, I just don't feel like it's the point right now because of all the things that I just said. Be patient. If we do break past these areas of resistance on the overall market, likely a lot of the stocks that you have watched that have pulled back or experiencing some tightness and resistance are likely going to follow. And at that point, you want to start putting a little more pedal to the metal because we're in a power trend. I can't argue with that. I can kind of somewhat agree with that, especially if it follows your rules and your strategy. But just understand that in the current stance that we are in, it could easily break in either directions. And even if we just continue to go sideways, it could be very difficult to make money and hold into some positions given what's going on in the market. So have a plan upside, have a plan downside. Upside means be prepared, have a watch list ready, be looking at these charts. Know the stocks that to you right now look like the strongest ones so that when we do have that day, because nobody knows, or if we do have that day, I should say, nobody really truly knows when that's going to be. And you don't want to be caught flat-footed and scrambling, trying to figure out what stocks you're going to buy, how much of it you're going to buy, and what your portfolio is going to look like. Consistently, day by day, have a plan going into the next day. See what the market does and be prepared to react to that. And on the downside, as we always have your stops in place, understand the risk that's out there, and be ready. So final thoughts overall. Look, summarizing it, don't rush. This is a market to be patient. This is a market to continue to do the work and really look for those stocks that look like they're going to be those true market leaders and are showing that strong performance. There is a ton of setups right now, a ton of things that look like they're ready to break out. And it can be very overwhelming. I know a lot of people have talked about saying there's just so many stocks out there and they don't know which one to pick. Take some time, really sit down, look at everything, bring out a checklist, whatever works for you, and try to differentiate between these stocks and which ones are showing you, based on your strategy, have the highest probability of being a big winner if we do go higher. Another thing that I wanted to add, and then we'll jump into a couple of true market leaders, a couple of stocks that I've been looking at. And Colin, thanks for asking. That's a good thing to bring up in this. I haven't done that yet. As a trader, it's important to understand you have to always be a student. We have to always be learning. If you look at any of the market wizards, any of these really great professional traders, one thing that I see is they are all constantly making sure they are perfecting their craft. They are constantly rereading books. They're constantly making sure that they are dialed and their strategy is on point and that they are just educating themselves and always improving because the market's complex. You can't know it all. So there's room for improvement for everybody, whether you're somebody who just started out, somebody that's doing for a little less than a decade like myself, or somebody that's been doing this for multiple decades and is a professional trader. It is very important to always be educating yourself, always be doing the work, and perfecting your craft. All right, so with that being said, let's jump over to Deep View. I will bring up a list. I have a favorites list. I will go through a couple of these names and some of these possible true market leaders. At the end of the day, we don't truly know who's going to be the next true market leaders, if this is going to be an uptrend or if it doesn't happen now and it happens in the future. But just definitely some names to mention. Number one, I think this one is one that's on everybody's kind of watch list, which is Palantir. Full disclosure, I did buy in this pocket pivot type of breakout on Friday, which looked beautiful with that kind of nice tight pullback, bounce off the 21, high volume coming in, closing near the highs, right below an all-time high. Strong RS stock. Got different time frames, but overall strong RS stock minus the last month where it had this pullback, which isn't too concerning. The fundamentals in this one look great. We got triple digit EPS, triple digit EPS in the annual, triple digit EPS on the earnings. Quarterly. Sorry, repeating myself. Sales look good. So yeah, overall in this one, I mean, really, really strong looking stock. And even on the subgroups, looking at in the last 3 months in the top 25, last 1 month in the top 20, the week don't really worry about. In the last 12 months, still in that upper echelon, looking at the top half of subgroups. So look, we all know the AI looks like it's going to be the future, whether people like it or not. And this seems to be one of those true market leaders within that space. The next thing I'm going to bring up is HIMS. Full disclosure, I did buy also here in this pocket pivot on Friday. Both these put a small, like kind of half position on. But very much the same. This seems to be a true market leader, changing the way people essentially work, live, and play in the way of this is changing the way a lot of people are getting their medication, whether it is weight loss drugs, hair products, sexual enhancement type of drugs. This seems to be a company that is leading the market in a different way than going to your doctor and sitting down with them and having them write a script and picking up from your local pharmacy. So definitely seems to be a thing changing the way we work, live, or play. The chart looks beautiful, as you can see. We had the pullback, a little deep pullback, but did have a pullback. I think it's like 65% from top to bottom or somewhere around there. Yep, 65-ish% from top to bottom, which is a little big. But needless to say, in a stock like this that has been pretty volatile, just something to take note of, not overly concerning. The RS has been great. We saw the volume kind of come in as we started to climb higher. We've seen the volume kind of taper off as we started to pull back. We found support the 21-day. We got that pocket pivot. This is another one of those stocks that's really, really high on my watch list. Has been high on my watch list, and that's why I kind of put in that early entry. Other potential true market leaders, Robinhood. This stock, another great performer in the last uptrend. We've seen some real extreme tightness here, allowing us to hopefully get these moving averages to come a little bit closer. It is really trending good with that 10-day simple moving average. It's right below all-time highs. So this one looks great as well. I also have a position here buying out of this kind of double bottom pattern right here. But I think a lot of people will likely be either starting position or adding if we kind of get a breakout into all-time highs here. So another one that's done very well. Another one that's got great fundamentals. You can see it all up on the screen. Strong RS. Very interesting here. Uber did look like it for a while, but this last sell-off that we got with the Tesla robotaxi news, kind of going to skip over that one. Duolingo. This will be the last one that I kind of throw up there. This is another one that has had some real strong action. Excuse me. Same thing, we kind of rallied up with this market. I had started a position as we broke on the earnings gap up. Was the earnings gap? To be honest, I forget where I had the exact entry. If it was from here or here, somewhere in here I had bought. Made some good progress. We now have that tightness. We found support at that 21-day EMA. Did not add on to this position just because in the current market we're in, and it really didn't break that downtrend. So for me, I'm just kind of waiting to see. I do have a pretty good size position in this, so I'm not likely going to add to this because I do have already a full position. But this looks like another true market leader. Really, really strong RS, really, really good EPS, really good sales. Overall, this stock looks really, really great. You can see, I could say really, really, really 1,000 freaking times. But that RS line looks great too. So this is another one of those names that looks like it is possibly a true market leader if this market can continue on the upward trajectory. The only other stock that I've talked about that I'll bring up is Life 360. I do have a position as we broke kind of past this small area right here. Not really a CANSLIM breakout. Looked at it more of as like a high tight flag power play type of play as we went up over 100% in a few weeks right here. Then we had some real tight sideways action, and now it looks like we made the attempt to break higher. Looked really, really good as when we were kind of near the highs, but constantly a lot of chop on Friday pulled us back to the beginning of the day. Not ideal of what I wanted to see, but if you know this company, and I hear it from a lot of people that I work with that have kids, a lot of them are using this to track their children. And I'm very thankful that my mother did not have this when I was younger because it would not have been good. But still, seems like a very, very popular company. They do a lot of work with Tile, or they have acquired Tile. I'm not 100% sure on that, but a company changing the way people work, live, and play for sure, and has some amazing movement. You can see it is in the early stages, so likely could see it correct again and go through an IPO diligence phase, possibly. But with just how rapidly it went up and given that tight action and possibility of like a power play type setup, I put a small position on just to see how it worked. Wouldn't advise that to everybody. It was not the most disciplined trade and of a really, really true perfect breakout. So I'll just be honest with that. But regardless, just bringing some light to a company that I think could eventually be a true market leader, and I would put on your watch list. All right. Well, that's all we got for this week. I appreciate everybody joining us or joining me. And yeah, I apologize for the first stream not actually streaming to YouTube. I'll work on that and get things corrected. But thank you, everybody, for joining me. And comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know how I can make improvements. Discord. I always have my Discord link below. So if you are interested in being in a group of over 850 CANSLIM intervening growth stock style traders, you can click that link. It'll bring you to the Discord, and you'll see there's a lot of great conversations from people that have just started out trading all the way up to people who are professional traders and have been trading for decades. So yeah, really, really great community. Everybody really stays on topic, so you don't get as much nonsense as you do on Reddit or on X. And I appreciate that community for making it what it is. All right, that is all I got for this week. Thank you, and stay disciplined.